Okay, recording has started. Now, our college IQAC coordinator and NAC coordinator, S. Srinivas Reddy sir, will address the meeting.
Respected principal and convener of the webinar Ramon sir and co-convener Awais Moinuddin sir and the respected speakers Professor Ravinder sir, Professor Sudhakar sir and Professor Kumraya sir, respected fraternity of economics and other disciplines and friends and students. All of you a very good morning and welcome to the international webinar. Firstly, I congratulate the Department of Economics for initiating this program on an important topic and with very eminent resource persons like Professor Ravinder sir and Sivakaran sir and Kumraya sir. Incidentally, Professor Kumraya sir was here at Government Degree College, Jammikunta 2 years back. Exactly February 25th of 2019, he was here to deliver a talk on equity issues in higher education, where we organized 2-day national seminar at that time. And we are very happy to again welcome Professor Kumraya sir. And also, we are very proud to welcome Professor Ravinder Rena and Professor Sudhakar Reddy as they are very eminent in their fields. I hope this webinar will explore all the dimensions of the topic and all the factors influencing the economic reforms worldwide and in India particular. So I request all the participants to interact with the speakers after their talks and make the webinar success. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Now, I request our principal sir to address the webinar and announce opening of the start of the webinar.
I, P. Premchand, principal this college. Our college established in 1966. Jammikunta was very famous business area in Telangana. We are conducted a economic webinar, international webinar, topic global economic slowdown and its impact in Indian economy. I heartily welcome to speakers Professor Ravinder Rena Garu, Northwest University, South Africa, and Professor B. Sudhakar Reddy Garu, Chairperson, BOS and Joint Director, Usmania University, Hyderabad. Another speaker, Professor J.B. Kumraya Garu, Department of Economics, Banaras, Hindu University, Varanasi. I congratulate our economics department and our IQAC department. Start the webinar. All the best. Thank you.
Now, I request our college Assistant Professor Ishwaraya to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Rena Ravinder. So, Ishwaraya sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to all.
Sir.
Sir, my voice audible?
Yes, sir. Yes. You can speak.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to one and all. Thank you, sir, given to me this opportunity. First of all, I thank you, our principal, Sri P. Premchand, and webinar convener, Sir Sri Ramon, sir, and IQAC convener, Aves, sir, and co-convener, Srinivas Reddy, sir, and my colleagues, and today speakers, Professor Rena Ravinder sir and Professor B. Sudhakar Reddy sir, Professor J. B. Kumre sir. Sir, I introduce Professor Rena Ravinder sir. I feel very proud and happy because he is my brother, same village. Sir, Professor Dr. Ravinder Rena is a profound academician and distinguished scholar in economics, writer, editor, advisor, and public intellectual with over 28 years of teaching and research experience in Asia Pacific, Africa, and European continents. He has been an independent consultant and training experts. Professor Rena is currently working as Professor of Economics and Internationalization Project Leader at the Northwest University Business School, Northwest University, South Africa. He also serves as an adjunct professor of economics for master's and doctorate programs at Monash Business School, Monash University, Egendon, Zug, Switzerland. Previously, he worked as a professor of economics at the Department of Economics, University of the Western Cape, Cape Town, South Africa. He also served as professor and the coordinator, Giant African Masters Program, Ireland, Anchorage, Graduate School of Business at the Namibia University of the Science and Technology. He also worked as the head of the Economics Department of Business Studies, the Papua New Guinea University of Technology. Papua New Guinea, Professor Rena earned his PhD from the Department of Economics, Usmania University, Hyderabad, Telangana, in India, with an achievement of university gold medal for the best PhD candidates thesis in the field of economics, commerce, business management. He obtained his MA, BEd, MPhil, PhD from Usmania University and BA and LLB from Kakatiya University, Warangal, India. He got the prestigious award of the Best Researcher 2011 from Namibia University of Science and Technology, and also recipient of the esteemed award Man of the Year 2012, which was the bestowed upon him by the American Biographical Institute, USA, based on his extraordinary research contributions. American Historical Society, USA, has been enlisted his profile in the world Who International. He serves as the chairman of the panel of the judges for economics of the Global Undergraduate Award based in Dublin, Ireland, United Kingdom. He wrote 10 books and published more than 130 articles in reputed national and international peer-reviewed journals. He has published more than 150 articles in newspapers and magazines and websites, and presented over 50 papers in the national and international conferences and seminars. He is the founding editor-in-chief of an international journal of education, economics, and development, and associate editor of the African Journal of Science, Technology, Innovation, and Development, which are the IBSS and Scopus indexed journals published by InterScience UK and Taylor and Francis UK, respectively. He serves as an editorial board member for many reputed journals. He has been a keynote speaker for various national and international conferences in Europe, America, Africa, and Asian continents. As of November 2020, his author rank is 5,493 out of 5,44,854 of Social Science Research Network, in which is among the top 1.0 researchers in the world. He Google Scholar citations 968, H index 18, IH index 34. He was widely written in the area of economics, of education, development economics, and inclusive growth, globalization, and higher education, microfinance, rural entrepreneurship, WTO sustainable development, FDI's development aid in Africa. He supervised PhDs, MPhils, and master's thesis and dissertations across the globe. He served many academic and professional committees as a chairman and a panel member. He has also been an external examiner moderator for masters and PhD of different universities of Africa, examiner Europe, Asia, America, and Australia. He traveled to over 40 countries in the world. This is small and brief introduction for the Professor Rena Ravinder. I hand over to webinar convener, Sri Ramon sir. Thank you, all speakers and one and all. Thank you very much.
Now, I request Professor Ravinder Rena to address, to give his keynote address. Professor Rana.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ishwar, thank you for that generous introduction about me, and it's good to see you and good to see everyone here. It's indeed a great honor and privilege for me to be part of this international webinar conducted by Jammikunta Government Degree College, Jammikunta, Karimnagar District, Telangana State of India. I'm delighted today, 24th of February 2021, because of one reason. I've been the keynote speaker for more than 100 conferences across the globe for the past few years. But today is a special day that I'm gathering, I'm addressing the gathering because the speakers that we have today, they're all our classmates. We know each other for more than 30 years. We hail from the same Department of Economics, Osmania University, Hyderabad, India. So this make me special day today that Dr. B. Sudhakar Reddy and Dr. J. Balakumraya, so three of us, we hailed from the same department sometime in early part of 1990. So that is one of the speciality of today's webinar. And I also would like to acknowledge Professor Mr. Premchand, the principal of Government Degree College, Jammikunta. And I also would like to thank Mr. Ram Mohan Rao, the convener of this particular webinar, and the other co-conveners, probably Srinivas Reddy, the internal quality assurance cell of Jammikunta Degree College, and OSC, and other colleagues who put the efforts together to make this event happen. Without wasting much time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to touch upon some of the key areas. We gathered here today because of a few reasons. Number one is that for the past plus minus about 10 months, we've been experiencing with the global pandemic, and the global pandemic killed about 2.5 million people across the globe. So which made the pandemic is extremely difficult and devastating. It's a human catastrophe. So countries like America alone lost about 500,000 people. That is probably 5 lakhs people were killed in America alone, which is, even if you look at the American history, American soldiers, they lost their lives during the maybe World War II. They lost more than 400,000 soldiers. Now, again, if you look at the Korean War, they lost plus minus about 58,000 people they lost. And if you look at Vietnam War, American soldiers only got killed about 36,000 people. So if you put together, that would be about plus minus 500,000. Now 500,000 is crossed by the pandemic, which is absolutely alarming. And we must look at that kind of situations. So I just would like to give you an overview. And India is the second ranking in terms of the global countries. The pandemic is hitting India as well. We got 11 million people, whereas 156,000 people got killed by the virus. Although the statistics are a little bit not true reflection of the reality on the ground, but that's what plus minus we got. The infection rates are 11 millions, and the death rate was about 156,000 as of today. February 24, 2021. So I don't want to go to the details. And Brazil is next, and maybe Russia and UK, and the list goes on. And South Africa, where I'm sitting here today, we got plus minus about 1.5 million people got infected, and 50,000 people died. For South African population, 50,000 is really a huge figure. So my topic today, I would like to touch upon the topic that the conference organizers have chosen, that is global economic slowdown and its impact on the Indian economy, which is very pertinent topic, and which is very, very relevant topic. It's need of the hour. So I'm going to touch upon some of those salient features and some of the global economic, how the global economy looks like. Then I'll take you slowly to the MSMEs, the medium scale micro enterprises of India, and how they contribute to the overall Indian economy, and how they contribute to the $5 trillion economy that Indian government or the India indeed is aiming for. So that would be, in a nutshell, that would be my speech for today. Well, I would like to touch upon the global economy, how the global economy looks like. We have the top 10 economies in the world. They contribute about more than 75% of the global economy has been contributed by these top 10 economies. So who are those top 10 economies? We got America. America contributes about 24 to 25% of the global GDP of the world. So which is about 23 to 24 trillion dollars coming from America alone. America is the largest economy, not only in 2020, 2021, or for the past 2 decades. It has been the largest economy for the last 150 years, ladies and gentlemen. Then before 150 years, who were the largest economies? And then if I ask that question, obviously, India remains the largest economy in the world for not 1 year or 1 decade or 100 years. It is probably close to 1,800 years. From that 1,800 years of history, where we were dominating the world as the largest economy, we pushed it down to 3% today. That's what we contribute, and we remain as the 5th largest economy. Just to give you a brief note about that, India at one stage was contributing 40% of the global economy was coming from India alone. Now, from 40%, we come down to 28%, then 25% before the Britishers have come. And then we remain with 3% today. So this is what had happened. China was also playing a vital role for the past 1,800 years economic history one can look at. And China was also having a dominant position in the global economy. Now, China is no longer, if you look at the history, probably about 1990, that was about 30, 31 years ago, China was not there in the top 10, top 20 economies in the world. What the miracle has happened, and if you look at the statistics, ladies and gentlemen, the difference between Chinese economy and Indian economy was only $16 billion. So $16 billion is nothing actually. Elon Musk, the richest person of India in the world for the past few weeks, he lost $16 billion in the past 1 week actually. So that was the difference that India and China has got. So meaning that to be specific, Indian economy was providing or probably having an income of $297 billion, and China was having $313 billion. So you can see the $16 billion economy. That is the difference between India and China over 30 years ago. Now look at today, China is absolutely much ahead of, about 6 times more than what India is having today. So meaning that Chinese economy grew up to 14.5 trillions, whereas India remains with 2.8 trillions. So that is the sad part of the global economic, the trend, probably the dynamics that have been taking place over the past 2-3 decades. Now, who made China to be the richest country? It is none other than India. So India is the largest market for them, and we are the one who was trying to help them buying their products and so on and so forth. And Chinese become so clever, even during this, we've been following the Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India and self-sufficiency of India slogans for the past 9 months. Government of India, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced Atmanirbhar Bharat sometime on 12th of May, 2020. So if you look at that, and then we begin to think that we need to boycott the Chinese applications, Chinese products, so that we will use more of our own products. But the point is that Chinese become so clever, they are even producing the caps, they're producing the t-shirts where boycott China goods. Who are producing them? They're not produced by Indians, they are produced by Chinese. So that is the kind of, way, the aggressive way that Chinese come up, for the past 30 years, and they became the second largest economy. So without going into the details of that, ladies and gentlemen, China was nowhere in 1992 in the global statistics in the top 10 economies. It started growing up only 1996 upwards. For the past 24 years down the line, China aggressively made its path, and it grew up as one of the top economies in the world. It is the second largest economy today, and it will be the first largest economy in the coming 3 to 4 years' time. It's not a long time. So America first, and China second, and Japan used to be the second largest economy for probably about 2-3 decades, and it lost its position, and now it remains the third largest economy with about $7 trillion economy. So we are aiming for $5 trillion economy. Japan already got that. Japan has got only 260 islands, and such a small country in terms of population, in terms of the area size, but still Japan remains as the third largest economy. And then if we look at Germany is the fourth largest economy. Germany is not so big, ladies and gentlemen. It is as good as the same size of our Rajasthan state. Madhya Pradesh used to be the largest state in India probably 20 years ago, before the bifurcation of those 3 states. And then now Rajasthan became the largest state. So the size of Rajasthan state of India and the size of Germany, they are of the equal size. Now look at Germany is one step ahead of us. So it is the fourth largest economy with about $4.2 trillion. And fifth is India with about 2.8. The list goes on. So list goes on, maybe UK, and we got Canada, Australia, Italy, and France, and so on and so forth. So these are the largest economies, and they provide about 75% of the total wealth of this world. Now, who are the other contributors? Then we look at the Indonesian side, we look at South Korea, we look at a few other economies. They're also contributing more than $1 trillion somewhere there to the global economy. So this is the global economic outlook. And from this, if we look at India's situation today, we've been embarking lots of economic strategies, economic reforms, starting from 1991. Indian economic reforms are known, and the fruits of those reforms are being reaped out in present-day society. So if you look at 1991, June, July 1st and 3rd, that is the time P.V. Narasimha Rao was also hailed from Karimnagar district of India, Bangara village, which is basically falling under the Bhima Devarapalli Mandal. Bhimadevarapalli Mandal, Erravelli village and Bangara village, both of them, they come under the same umbrella. That's where he comes from. In fact, he was our Mandal mate. So P.V. Narasimha Rao became the prime minister, and then during his time as the prime minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh was the probably the finance minister, and then they embarked on these economic reform strategies. So LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization, and some of those reform strategies, eventually they introduced a lot of reforms in 1991, about 31 years ago, that pushed our foreign currency reserves that we have improved a lot better. Now we got more than $500 billion foreign exchange reserves. So that is about the Indian side. And now let me take you to the other side of the coin, that India was doing very well in terms of the human resource management, in terms of the technology, in terms of innovations, in terms of the science, engineering, and so on and so forth, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and so on and so forth. Now, even if you look at the fourth industrial revolution, where we talk about blockchain, we talk about maybe robotic technologies, we talk about machine learning, and we talk about various other interrelated aspects. So India is doing very fine in terms of the ICT technologies, and we are one of the largest producers and contributors of this global economy in terms of the ICT technologies. So if you look at the Silicon Valley of America, majority of the people come from India. They are serving that Silicon Valley. Probably if you take NASA scientists, about 35% of the NASA scientists, National Aeronautical Space Agency, they are all Indian born or Indian origin human resources. They are working as scientists. And you take the medical doctors, probably more than 35% also medical doctors working in USA, they all come from India. So this is just to give you an overview about Indian contribution to the globe and Indian contribution to the American economy. America has not become rich just because of America or American resources or American natural resources and human resources, but it is basically India is the one which made America as one of the richest countries. Just to give you some more tips, Google CEO Sundar Pichai and Alphabets, of course, Alphabets is the original company. And Sundar Pichai was born and brought up in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. And probably Andhra Pradesh, Satya Nadella was CEO of Microsoft. He also come from Andhra Pradesh, probably now Telangana state. So these are the dynamics. If you take the top 20 multinational companies and their CEOs, majority of them, they come from India or Indian origin. So we contributed immensely to the global economic resources or the global economy, where we are standing with about $85 trillion. That is our global economy looks like. So out of this 85 trillions, the top 10 economies, they are contributing about 75% of it, as I indicated to you earlier. Now, let me take you what Indian economy looks like. And my fellow colleagues, Dr. Sudhakar Reddy and Dr. J.V. Balakumraya, they are also going to speak on some of the pertinent issues of Indian economy. Because of interest of time, I would like to touch upon some of the important aspects of MSMEs. So MSME, what is this MSME stands for? Micro, small, medium enterprises. And we got a ministry, the government of India has started a ministry in 2007. And on the same topic, MSME, that is the ministry that is existing for the past about 13, 14 years down the line. So government of India is trying to embark with a lot of strategies, a lot of probably, methods and mechanisms where we can promote and uplift and develop the MSMEs base in Indian economy. So that is very pertinent and very important because the MSME's contribution to the Indian economy, if we look at holistically, they contribute more than 30% of the GDP of India, gross domestic product of India. And they provide 11 crore employment opportunities. So 11 crore people depending upon the MSMEs of India for their employment, for their existence, in fact. So that speaks a lot about. And what else MSME does for the Indian economy? We export 40% of the products that are produced by these MSMEs, we export to the other countries of the world. So 40% of our export means that speaks a lot in terms of getting the foreign currency reserves and in terms of getting the international reputation about our products, whether they are handicrafts, whether they are any kind of product that are coming from maybe handlooms, or probably Silla is known to produce a sari that can fit into a matchbox, and so on and so forth. So we do have Gadwal, we do have so many other famous cities of Telangana state where they were good in producing a high quality and sophisticated handlooms. So these are some of the points that I would like to touch upon. And how many medium scale micro enterprises that we have in India? We got 63 million MSMEs in India, ladies and gentlemen. That is probably more than the population of South Africa, actually. In South Africa, we got about 59, 60 million people as the country's population. And now we have MSMEs in India, they are more than 63 millions. So 63 millions that they spread across the country. We got 664,000 villages in India, ladies and gentlemen. And some of the industries, they are also rural-based industries. So some of them are semi-urban and urban areas, but majority of them centered, more than 60% of them are centered in rural base of India. So this is how the Indian MSMEs look like. Now, what these MSMEs must do? If you look at the global pandemic that hit Indian economy, of course, the global economy was badly hit and millions and millions of people got unemployed. And India is not a probably exception from that. In India, we got more than 150 million people. That made about 15 crore people got unemployed because of the pandemic. There are so many people who are working in the construction industry. More than 100 million people, they are disrupted their lives. They are out of the track. Many people from Orissa and many people from Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and other Jharkhand. And those states, people, they are spread all over they migrated to different cities of India. And they were working in different cities in the construction industry. So all those 100 million people, they don't have jobs today. And the construction industry is completely disrupted because of the global pandemic. So we have a scenario like that. And the same thing goes against the all odds and goes against the current MSMEs. There are so many MSMEs, they got suffered irreparable losses because of the pandemic. They lost their markets where they cannot even sell their products they used to sell before. And because people, they don't have the buying capacity or the purchasing power, and eventually they cannot able to buy these products. And then the production process also been disrupted because of obvious reasons of lockdown scenarios that we have for many months. So this is what a greater impact. And the government of India, I think a few days ago, Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, was speaking in one of the exhibition recently, and they were trying to step up different strategies where the handicrafts industry alone can contribute about 80,000 crores of rupees to the Indian economy. So the aim is that in the coming 2 to 3 years, they wanted to uplift from 80,000 crores of rupees to 5 lakh crore rupees. That's the aim that they want to reach. So they have to work harder and harder because of the fact that we are sitting with $2.8 billion. That is our total income. Sorry, $2.8 trillion. That is our total income that we are contributing. And that is our GDP on an average according to 2019 statistics. But now we are aiming, our government of India and probably Narendra Modi and all the ministers and all the states of India, more than 31 states of India, we are all aiming for what? We are aiming for $5 trillion income. So which is much smaller than what Japan already got it. As I mentioned to you, $7 trillion economy is Japanese economy. China is $14.5 trillion. America is about $23 to $24 trillion. Now we are aiming for $5 trillion. India, as I mentioned to you, that we were contributing 40% of the total wealth of this world. Now we are aiming for $5 trillion in the coming 4 years' time, 2025. That is our target. Now, whether India can able to achieve the target in the coming 4 years' time, that is a big challenge, that is a big question. We are over optimistic, ladies and gentlemen, because of few reasons. Point number one, of course, according to IMF estimations, IMF says in 2018, India is the fastest growing economy in the world with more than 8%. So that made us proud, literally. And we are relaxed. We think that we are probably better than many other countries, including China, in terms of growing fast. That's not enough for us. Unless otherwise, the benefits of the economy reach the common man, a poor man living in a rural village of India, the economic growth doesn't make any good sense. In fact, the poverty that has been created in this world, it's all man-made poverty, ladies and gentlemen. Man born freely, but everywhere is in chains, is in kind of conditions. That the way we live in, they're living in lots of conditions, in chains, like a prison. So now, if we look at the scenario realistically, what is happening is that the poverty and the economic growth, it is not corresponding and not talking with each other. We have China, for example, it grew up between 11% to 15%. If you look at for the last 2 decades of their Chinese economic growth, they grow up 11 to 15%. What does it mean? It means that they also could able to lift 700 million people out of poverty from China. So that is the big achievement. That is the big achievement in the whole world, ladies and gentlemen. So we need to look into that. Now, if you look at the per capita income of India, we are still sitting with $2,100. That's our per capita income, which is not a big amount. Whereas China, they were sitting side by side next to us sometime back, 30 years back. Now, their per capita income is more than $10,000. So they are 5 times more than our per capita income, actually. If you look at the same China, 1950, they are behind us. We are ahead of them. So in the past 70, 73 years down the line, you can see that radical changes are occurred because of the hard work, because of the way we work, and we don't relax as such. If we are achieving something, success and the failure, we think that they are opposite words. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to mention here that they're not opposite words. A failure, we think it is an obstacle, but failure is not an obstacle. It is a kind of opportunity that is given to us, and it is part of the success. There is no successful businessman in this world without failures. You talk about Dhirubhai Ambani, Mukesh Ambani, or Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, the top richest people in the world, they always have got experienced the failures. So we shouldn't undermine the failure just like that. We should learn a lesson from the failure, and we should try to do our best to not to commit the same mistake so that we'll fail again, but we try to improve from there. That is the way that our MSMEs must work hard, and all the industries and all the agriculture sectors must work hard. So I don't know how much time that I still have. I think about, I would like to conclude by stating a few more important points. In the interest of time, maybe if you got a couple of questions, you can ask me. So I just would like to mention here that MSME's contribution to the Indian economy is immense. And so they're providing employment opportunities. They're also trying to bring us export revenue. They're also providing probably, a base for the major industries that we have. The lot of large scale industries or basic industries that we have in India, either they get their raw materials or some kind of support from the MSMEs actually. Now MSMEs therefore is playing a vital role in the Indian economy. And if you look at the composition of Indian economy, the way it is structured is Indian economy from the beginning for the past independence 1947 and until now, we are an agro-based economy. And we agree that, and my father, my mother, and most of our people sitting here, at least our grandfathers, they're all agricultural farmers. So we must agree with that. We are a farming community, and we are still, that reflects even today, after 73 years of Indian democracy, we can still see that 50% of our people are depending upon agriculture sector. And what is the revenue that, what is the percentage of income that comes from the agriculture sector? That is the puzzle, that is the question I'd like to pose here, ladies and gentlemen. We got last year, because of the pandemic, the agriculture production is a little bit increased from 17.5 to probably about 19%. So that is what, meaning that 50% of our people could able to earn an income of 19% income in the total economy. You can imagine the paradox, because agricultural farmers are not being paid very much, just like our wage earners or our IT technicians or engineers working as software engineers working in different capacities in India and in USA and other parts of the world. They get better salaries, per capita income, or also the overall income per year. They get better than what a farmer can earn per year. So that is the sad part of it. So therefore, we need to increase the modern technologies in agriculture, where we can try to promote even agro-based MSMEs. There are a lot of agro-based MSMEs we need to target upon. We need to increase the income base from 18-19% to at least 30%. So that will try to help us and try to also reduce the current unemployment levels in India. So therefore, we need to target about that. So 50% people earning 18-19% income is not corresponding, not making any good sense. That's point number one. Point number two, we got the industries, a lot of industries, Steel Authority of India Limited and many other industries. I'm not going to go to the details. My colleagues will try to touch upon those bases. So the industry's contribution to the Indian economy is about 27 to 28%. So that's how it looks like. Out of 100 rupees, if you take that, that is our income, then about 18-19% coming from agriculture, 27% coming from industries. Now, 54 to 55% coming from services. So that is how the economy, the composition of Indian economy looks alike. Now, from this, we still need to look into the $5 trillion economy, how that is possible, whether we are able to achieve the $5 trillion economy in the coming 4 years, 2025, there is a big question mark for all of us. It is not in the hands of Prime Minister Modi, and it's not in the hands of Kalvakuntla Chandrasekhar Rao, the Chief Minister of Telangana state, or any other Chief Minister who is sitting in their own states. It is in the hands of every Indian citizen, ladies and gentlemen. We must realize that. So if we could able to contribute individually, then automatically the economy of India is going to grow up. So everybody should equally carry the responsibility. Otherwise, ministers or prime minister or the president or the chief ministers, they can do nothing unless otherwise the people involved and they indulge, they work hard. So whether we could able to achieve that $5 trillion economy, that's the biggest challenge for all of us. Now, the economy was contracted, as all of the economists sitting here and the policymakers sitting here and the students sitting here, we can understand that our economy was contracted last year sometime in September, October, 23 to 24%. That's a lot actually for an economy like India. Now, the IMF statistics, IMF forecasting recently, last week, it says that we contracted more than 10% now. And our economy can grow only at the rate of, now we are going at about 3% or so. We can grow probably in 2021-22, we are going to grow plus minus about 8.5%. That's the kind of that we can look at. If we go with that kind of exchange growth rate in the coming 4 years' time, are we able to achieve this $5 trillion economy? My answer would be no. It's next to impossible, ladies and gentlemen. At least Indian economy must grow between the rate of 13 to 15% on average, which is obviously very, very difficult for us unless a miracle takes place. So miracle can take place only every citizen of India can realize that that is our responsibility. We must push ourselves. We must try to work harder with all our skills, dexterity that we have. And then we try to, whether you are a farmer, whether you are a driver, whether you are a rickshaw puller, and whether you are a professor, and every one of us, we exert our efforts, extra efforts to reach the target, and then that would be possible to achieve this $5 trillion economy. So with this few remarks from my side, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude by saying, thanks to the conference organizers and Ram Mohan ji and also Srinivas Reddy ji and the principal and other colleagues. And I must also thank the audience sitting from different corners of India and probably a few other countries from Indonesia and so on and so forth. So with this few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you very much once again. And it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ravinder. Now, I ask some of the participants to take part in the interaction. So if you raise your hand, I will let you speak. I will unmute you. Please raise hand if anybody wants to ask any questions to Professor Ravinder. Anybody, please raise your hand. Okay, if no one asks questions, I will thank you. So thank you, Professor Ravinder. Thank you very much for your enlightened speech and enlightened us in the current economic scenario. Once again, thank you on behalf of the Department of Economics, IQAC, and also thank you on behalf of staff and principal of Janakunda Government Degree College. Thank you very much, sir. So now I ask Suvarna, Assistant Professor of English, to introduce Professor Sudhakar Reddy, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. A very good afternoon to all the participants. I'm Dr. Suvarna. It's my immense pleasure and privilege to introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. B. Sudhakar Reddy, Professor and Chairperson, Board of Studies, and also Joint Director, Directorate of Academic Audit, Osmania University, Hyderabad. Sir is currently working as Professor of Economics at University College of Arts and Social Sciences, Osmania University, Hyderabad, India. Sir has completed his PhD from Department of Economics, Osmania University, on the topic Variations in Agricultural Development of Andhra Pradesh in 1997. He was also awarded gold medal for the best thesis in the Faculty of Economics, Commerce and Management, 1997. Sir has qualified National Eligibility Test in 1995, and he also had a Bachelor of Education from University College of Education, Osmania University, Hyderabad. Sir has been teaching to postgraduates since 1998. He is a resource person for Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Hyderabad, and also for academic staff colleges, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad, and Osmania University. He is also a resource person for tele-lessons on Mana TV live telecasts for Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. Sir also had a wide range of administrative experience. He is the Dean, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Mahatma Gandhi University, and also Joint Director, Directorate of Academic Audit, Osmania University. He is the Chairman, Board of Studies, Department of Economics for Osmania University, Shatavahana University, as well as Palmer University. He held the positions of Additional Controller of Examination for Osmania University and Vice Principal, University PG College, Osmania University. He also served as NCC officer for Air Wing NCC Second Batch. Sir has edited textbook Economics of Development and Infrastructures, which was published by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. He also edited Telangana Journal of Social Sciences, which is published by Commissioner of Collegiate Education, Hyderabad. Sir has guided 15 PhD scholars so far and 5 ICSSR doctoral fellowships. He also has 7 UGC research projects to his credit. With this brief introduction, I would like to invite our distinguished speaker, Professor Sudhakar Reddy, sir. So please join us. Thank you, organizing committee, for giving me this opportunity. Over to Sudhakar Reddy, sir.
Yeah, good morning, friends. At the outset, I thank you organizers, Sri Ram Mohan and principal of the college. And I could see a lot of my friends on this Zoom. So, Professor J.B. Kumaraya is my friend and classmate, and Ravinder and Professor Ravinder Rena is also classmate and my friend. I could see a lot of my students also in this Zoom, and also seen the colleagues also, some of the earlier colleagues also seen in this. It's very happy to meet you all on this Zoom meeting. So, good morning, and thank you once again for inviting me to this international webinar on global economic slowdown, its impact on Indian economy. So my job has become easy because Sir Ravinder Rena has covered a lot of aspects of Indian economy. So I'm going to just very briefly discuss about how India is going to tackle the slowdown of Indian economy in 2020. So as you are aware, the world is witnessing the rock bottom with downgrading economic growth to 3% in 2019, making it the lowest ever after global financial crisis. The slowdown is steered by various factors, as you know, that playing a crucial role at global level, with the US being the largest economy. The experts analyze these global financial conditions and expect a further dip in 2020, affecting other major economies of the world, which includes India. The strings are also connected in the protectionist tendencies of the world economies, and particularly the US-China trade war further affecting the homeland. So much been discussed on the dream Indian economy achieving its $5 trillion economy by 2024 received a major setback, we could say, major setback, when the GDP growth rate slumped at lowest 4.5% in the second quarter of the 2019-20 financial year. It stands in stark contrast from 7.1% second quarter growth rate of 2018-19. The slowdown of the Indian economy became the talk of the month throughout the world when the GDP rate number was announced. India, with 8% growth rate at the time, was the fastest growing economy of the world. So what has happened? What went wrong? So what does economic slowdown mean? The economic slowdown means slowing the growth rate. Some of the prime reasons for the slowing growth rates are lower consumption rate, rising unemployment levels, low demand, low sales, liquidity crunch. So if we analyze what are the factors which are responsible or contributing to this economic slowdown, how did India GDP growth rate decrease from 8% to less than 5%, that is 4.5%. As per the RBI report, which is published in September 2019, the root causes this economic slowdown is the reduction of domestic consumer demand and lower capital investment. And they also analyzed demonetization. India has always been the cash-based economy, you know very well. It's not monetized economy. So most of the Indians which use cash, it's a cash-based economy, India. Uh, so the demonetization of 2016 resulted in massive withdrawal of cash from the market. As per a new report, the demonetization has become stepping stone of the consumers limiting their overall spend. This also hit the rural markets that are heavily cash dependent. So hypothesizes various economists, as predicted by the experts earlier, this became a long-term factor that keeps affecting the Indian economy. So another reason is for this economic slowdown looks at the liquidity crunch. The shadow banking, you know very well what is shadow banking crisis. That 2018 is the triggering cause of the 2019 economic slowdown in India. The shadow banking in India usually refers to the NBFCs, non-banking financial companies. As the name suggests, these are not like traditional banks which we are familiar. The NBFCs are banking institutions that do not have banking licenses but offer different kinds of banking services like insurance, loans, advances, financing, etc. They lend out long-term loans but raise the short-term funds. The issue is the deceleration of bankruptcy of ILFS in 2018 put a stop of fund transfer to all NBFCs, non-banking financial companies, from the public and private banks. With the NBFCs not having enough money to loan, to flow of credit of the economy got disrupted. In this process, the credit capacity of small and medium business was greatly influenced. And also a decline in the automobile industry. The automobile sector hit one of the worst crises in recent years in August 2019. The already declining sales reached the peak, resulting in many factories to stop further manufacturing, reached its peak, the process causing over the 2 lakh job losses. The automobile sectors contribute more than 20% of India's manufacturing GDP. A large crisis like this will have a direct impact on the Indian economy slowdown. Again, the issue is the overproduction of automobiles and the decline in consumers lead to a huge to the rise in maintenance of cost of vehicles. The slowing of income remained an important cause of consumers not spending their money and buying cars, bikes. So the government plans to roll out BS6 standard vehicles in April 2020. And this also another reason could be the lower investments. So investment play a vital role in the economy of the country. New investments open job opportunities, increase business activities. However, factors like demonetization and the liquidity crunch got the private investor to think twice before investing in India. As per the news report, the new private sector investments fell 70% in comparison to 2018. And all these factors leads to a rising unemployment rate. The latest report of NSSO highlights that unemployment rate in India at 6.1% and witnessing a 45-year high unemployment equals to no earning. Without any source of income, the spending capacity also decreases. The consumer demand also goes down. A higher unemployment number tells a lot about the capacity of the economy. If the economy is not able to tackle this problem, it can because there are not enough measures to do the same. And also the another reasons for the slowing the growth of the economy is lower agricultural growth. Agricultural growth is down, spiraling every quarter in recent years. According to Ministry of Finance report, the agricultural growth declined 5.1% in 2018-19 to 2% in 2019-20. So 5 to 2%, very drastic decline one could notice in agriculture growth rate. This is not only affect the farmers' income, but also sales of the companies involved in agri-based product manufacturing. The onset of monsoon in India plays important role in the cultivation of several crops. The delay in monsoon implies to the delay in cultivation and consequently impacts sales of the harvest. In the opinion of the RBI, several factors affecting farmers' income and subsequently led to the crisis in rural market. This agriculture aspect is going to be covered by Professor J.B. Kumble. And the real estate, which also affecting our Indian economy. Like auto industry, the real estate sector also faced serious crisis in 2019. The growth of this sector fell by 5% the previous year. Without any investment, there could be no real estate project. People were not buying houses as the other sectors employed were already affected by the overall slowdown according to a report. The real estate sector accounts 30% of jobs throughout the country. With no new projects, the jobs of the real estate sector were also hit. While these factors are the main reasons for the 2019 slowdown of the economy in India, the rumors of the slowdown also impacted the consumer choices. So these are the general factors which are affecting, which are analyzed by the economists for the slowdown of the economy. So we can also see what is the evidence of this output performance. So economic outcomes during 2010s, mostly using the official data sources, subject to the qualification of real annual growth rate, which show GDP growth rising steadily from 5.5% in 2012-13 to 8.2% in 2016-17, declining after to a 5% in current year 2019, as per the official advance estimate. If these numbers are correct, the economy has slowed down after 2016-17, probably on account of shocks of demonetization and implementation of GST. So the statistical exercise to validate it, whether are they correct, the statistical estimates, official GDP estimates have indicated a sizable overestimation of the growth rates. So the famous economist Arvind Subramanian, using cross-country growth regressions, inferred that official estimates place annual average growth rate between 2011 to 12, 2016 to 17, about 7%. So he estimated annual growth rate has been about only 4.5%. So, and the GDP growth rates in the current decade are distinctly lower than those recorded in the last decades. So rising GDP growth rates from 2012 to 13 to 16 to 17 are overstated by a margin of 1.5 and 2.5 percentage points in the new series. So therefore, actual growth rates recorded for the last 6 quarters may be far lower than the official reported figures. The silver lining is the inflation rate measured by the consumer price index CPI has declined sharply, 9.4% in 2013-14 to 3.4% in 2018, with an average annual rate 5.3% during the periods. The fall largely mirrors the decline in international oil prices, which we have seen an exogenous factor, as India imports nearly 80% of its commercial energy requirements. So oil prices perhaps remain the best predictor of the domestic inflation rates. So gross saving investment rates in from 2004-5 to 17-18 at all current prices, the investment rate peaked at 38% in GDP 2007-8, just before the global financial crunch. And thereafter steadily declined to 30% of GDP a decade later in 2017-18, corresponding to figures for the saving rate 36.4% and 29% respectively. Such a decline in saving and investment rates are unparalleled in modern India, implying a deep dent in the Indian economy, potential output growth. If one accepts this stylized fact of economics, that a sustained rise in domestic saving rate is a prerequisite for economic takeoff, has happened in all of Asia in the 20th century, is observed fall in India is saving rate such a magnitude speaks about ill of Indian economic progress. As mentioned earlier, a sharp rise in exports during 2000s was the principal contributor to the incremental output growth. The global financial crisis followed by a great recession witnessed a reversal. India too has seen its exports as a percentage GDP fall from 25% in 2012-13 to 19% 17-18. However, the reduction in oil prices contracted the import bill, hence the ratio of net export to GDP has not changed much. And another important, the flagship initiative program, which initiated by our Prime Minister in 2015, that's Make in India, was launched, whose outcome shows a following dismal picture. A sustained stagnation in event, evident, if not slight decline in the manufacturing sector, share in GDP. Even this flagship initiative has also not done so well in manufacturing a percentage to the GDP. So industrial sector lost 3.5 million manufacturing sector jobs between 2011-12 and 17-18, according to the NSSO employment survey. A secular decline is seen, like industrial capacity utilization since 2011, and a rise in value of stalled investment projects, especially in private sector, since July 15 onwards. So if you look at all this macroeconomic indicator, it looks like it's a jigsaw puzzle. So how to solve this jigsaw puzzle? That's the evidence of the weak domestic output growth naturally gets reflected. As we having been discussed all the points why this slowdown. So India is in a jigsaw puzzle. How to solve this? The evidence of this weak domestic output growth naturally get reflected in the poor labor market outcomes. So some stark changes between 11-12 and 17-18, unprecedented since 70 to 73. When the sample surveys began, so job losses in the range of 6.2 million to 15.2 million, depending upon the population estimates used. Rural India lost 21 million jobs, while urban India gained nearly 15 million jobs. The most affected population and social groups are women, youth, Muslim. The members of other backward castes, OBCs, job gains are primarily men, members of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other castes. And just open employment, so defined as those who did not find a job during the previous week, as a proportion to the workforce has risen from 3 to 8.8%. Even open employment also, unemployment also increases from 3 to 8.8%. The labor force participation rate, that is, those working or looking for work as a proportion to the population in the age group 50 to 59, has declined from 39% to 5% to 36.9%. It seems that discouraged workers have dropped out of the labor market due to lack of employment opportunities. Okay. So analyzing all these factors which are contributing slowdown in the Indian economy. So what could be the policy suggestions, and then how India is going to tackle this economic slowdown in 2021 onwards. So what could be the possible explain such a swift and sharp change in India's economic fortunes? There have been no major political threats or natural calamities disrupting normal commercial activities. The country has witnessed orderly changes in the government following national and regional elections. So globalization is on the retreat, closing many opportunities, but India is a domestic oriented economy, unlike other economies of the world. The adverse followed relatively modest, one could say, since it is a domestic oriented economy. We are not relying much on foreign countries. The fall in international oil prices has kept the external balance under check. Hence, the reasons for the economic regression during the 2010 are entirely domestic and policy induced. The demonetization in 2016 was a disaster is now widely acknowledged. As the GST travels, its glitches are coming to the light with rising revenue shortfalls. Current slowdown in India economic growth is now widely acknowledged. It is not a mere cyclical, means not a short-term phenomenon. It's not cyclical decline, as the government would like us to believe it is a short-term phenomenon. But certainly it's not a cyclical short-term phenomenon. The economy has been underperforming for quite a while after the boom of the 2000 went bust. Regrettably, the current GDP series, like a faulty speedometer, has been overstating output growth. It probably helped the policymakers propagate false narrative of India as a consumption-led success story, ignoring warning signals of a decade-long decline in the economy saving and investment rates, among other evidences. Such a reversal in the investment rate so long has never happened since independence. The ongoing slump in the Indian economy has impacted India in a way where the GDP of the country has declined as low as 4.4% in the third quarter of 2020-19. Many factors are further contributing to the slowdown in the economy, like credit crunch, the financial markets, and reduction in exports due to unhealthy world trading pattern, declining consumer consumption, unemployment, creating grave situation in the country. If you want to look at the repercussions of the slump, go further than this, leading to increased taxes, higher rates of interest for fiscal policies, and increasing value of the rupee. Owing to India, a large domestic consumption base, courtesy, large population, and widespread middle income group, the effect of the slowdown can be reduced and overcome to a significant extent, if not fully negated. However, the challenges might seem to affect the country, but as one of the fastest growing economies with a vision to expand rapidly, India can tackle the slowdown in a constructive way and reduce the impact of the following solutions. So what could be the possible solutions to overcome this slowdown in Indian economy? The one way is to increase expenditure is the key factors which may reverse the slowdown in Indian economy. It might sound ironic referring to this in the context cyclic process. The government can attain it by increasing expenditure and hence notching the level of higher investments and demands to keep the economy running well and fine. Economic turnaround, just now as Professor Rena pointed out, economic turnaround via MSMEs, getting back on track and pulling the economy to the desired scale might take time. However, an instant measure which could be taken benefit of focusing on MSMEs, considering micro and small medium enterprises contribute a major chunk of Indian economy. It is safe to believe that they would play a significant part to turn around the Indian economy as well. So MSME boost would help us nourish domestic trading and being self-dependent to manage the commerce for domestic supply and demand. without any external interferences, supporting and promoting domestic brands across the sectors to make in India drive a MSME would be a smart idea to counter the external economic dynamics. And coming to banks, to the aid focusing on providing sufficient fund availability with the banks of particularly NBFCs, helping the revive the confidence owing to the default by IL and FS, that is Infrastructure Leasing Financial Services Limited, could serve wonders in making the growth of the economy head up. The banking sector has to be well geared to head the gaps of the rise due to the slump. Improve the exports generate to increase global market share. The proportion of imports versus exports plays a vital role in supporting the finance of the country. We get more external money pumped in India. While to this, global trade economies will play a major role. Sometimes immediate exercise in relaxation of subsidies to make trade easy would help India become an immediate choice over the massive manufacturing hubs attracting international orders, pouring of some additional external funds. Thus, some focus to improve the exports will be one of the smart way to equate the slowdown. It would also generate marginal employment opportunities in this sector, helping this situation. So another way out this economic slowdown is lowering the lending rates of a business to flourish, lending to increase the liquidity in the market. Indian Reserve Bank offers high interest rates to the banks, making borrowing expensive. Slashing down on the rate would help the banks to lend the better and people to rely banks and loans easier, hence eventually market attraction helping the economy. Another way is increase rural spend to generate consumer demand. It's a very simple concept to make economy flourish, to increase the consumption demand. Focusing on the rural areas would help increase the income of the people residing there. Therefore, indirectly hiking the consumption demand from the rural sector, India's strength is 90% of unorganized retail, which is highly fragmented at extremely potential. They can be our good mine. And another way is simplified indirect tax structure to cover all goods and services. Varied tax with complex structure has always been existing issue in the country. GST has favored the brand of the consumers and proved to be a game changer by simplifying complete process. However, there are still some areas to improve upon the make it the entire process much easier. So the government also should consider the recommendations of the Direct Tax Committee to increase disposable income of households and corporates. Additionally, the GST Council could further simplify the indirect tax architecture by moving a three-tier slab 6, 12, 18 while expanding its ambit to cover all goods and services. So further taking the above mentioned steps in the right direction will help us to stabilize the economy as we overcome the slowdown and also aid us in achieving finance minister vision, making India's a $5 trillion economy. So $5 trillion economy with the right intentions and significant measures, the country will prosper and head to the path of growth in collective development success. So therefore, country has to concentrate on the policy measures which just now mentioned, all the policy measures which will help India to tackle this problem of slowing down the economy. Already it is declined very drastically. So now it's a need of the hour to how to reverse this slowdown of the economy. So with these few observations, I would like to end by thanking organizers inviting me to present on this international webinar. Of course, my friend Komrai is going to speak on agriculture, it's how it impacted agriculture, this global economic crisis. So Professor Reno also analyzed in a global perspective and how this MSMEs could help Indian economy. So my lecture was covered both agriculture, MSME, and overall impact of Indian economy and how to overcome this. Thank you one and all for patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Siddhartha Reddy sir. If anybody wants to interact or ask any questions, you can raise your hand or put your questions in chat box. If you raise your hand, I will let you speak. Sir, Rajeshwara sir, your video is not on, sir.
Any question?
Question ask in chat box. Rajeshwara sir, your video is not
So he can unmute himself and he can ask question.
I have asked you to unmute. Ask to, sir, unmute yourself. Okay.
Audio is not clear.
Rajeshwara sir. Okay.
Or you can set a chart. You can chart it also so that we can.
His audio is not clear. So you can ask question in chat box, sir. Ask question in chat box. If anyone wants to ask, if you raise your hand, I will let you, I will unmute you. So there is a question on chat box. India largest economy by 2030.
Well, can I take that question? I think the India largest economy in the world in 2030, in coming probably 9 to 10 years time, whether it is possible or not. Maybe Ramonji, can I answer that question? Also,
why not?
Professor Nedururi Kanakaya was also asking some question. I think earlier we didn't get the chance to look at that question. So let me quickly address that. Taking this, whether India could able to be the first largest economy or the largest economy in the whole world by 2030, my answer would be simply no. It is not possible. Even 2050 also it's difficult. So that is probably even different assessment agencies, they use different factors and different variables to make the forecasting. So we need to look at the reality on the ground and whether it is a true reflection or not. We need to look into that. So that is one question. And Professor Nedunuri Kanakaya was also asking how to achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat. And he also posed another question pertaining to whether the unorganized sector labor force who are working in the rural areas and construction industry, how they are disrupted and how can we bring them back into the track? So that is in a question. So in a nutshell, I would like to quickly answer to that. There is a concept. I attended a conference organized by Brazil and a few other countries. That was 10 years ago. They bring a concept called LIPS, L-I-P-S, Local Innovative Product Systems. So I think India could be able to look into that local innovative product systems, where instead of even our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, was also saying that we need to look into Pura in a sense that provide the urban facilities in the rural areas itself, so that people, they don't need to go to the urban areas. There is no urban migration is needed, and the urbanization is also creating a lot of challenges to the Indian cities, probably cities like Hyderabad, Chennai, and Bangalore, Calcutta, Delhi, Ahmedabad, and so on. So So we need to create maybe 4,000 major cities, probably are 400 major cities in the country. We try, and those facilities we need to provide within the rural areas, basic education, basic health facilities, and basic, water and electricity and that kind of sources. If we could able to provide that, then we will try to grow the Indian villages. So Indian village, even Mahatma Gandhi said that the economic development should come from the rural areas, not from the bottom. It is always like a bottom-up approach, not a top-down approach. So economic development cannot be generated in Delhi or in other major cities of Calcutta, Chennai, and Hyderabad, but it should be starting from the rural areas. So that is how the self-reliant India, a self-reliant India is not achievable unless otherwise we are self-reliant ourselves as an individual. Let me give you an example. Japan didn't become the second largest economy in one night or 1 year. It took its own time. In 1950, if you look at the Japanese products, they are not known to the world at all. They are such inferior products. What we see, some of the Chinese products are much inferior quality. Japanese products in 1950, much inferior than Chinese products of today. If you take a pencil breaks when you are writing. The moment when you put it on the paper, it breaks. And if you want to sharpen the pencil, it also breaks. So at the end of the day, pencil doesn't work properly. So that kind of inferior quality, now they made it to the superior quality. And when they are having the inferior quality, who is buying those products? It is the Japanese guys. And Japanese guys realize that if we do not honor our own products, who else can honor our products? So that is the kind of self-reliance started. Now we can learn a lesson from the many global economies, including Japan. Japan doesn't have any resources as such. It is a resource-poor country. India is a resource-rich country. Japan also import a lot of natural resources from India, from Africa, from the rest of the world. So what I would like to, in a nutshell, Nedru Kankayaji, that self-reliance or self-sufficiency is only possible when we begin to adopt our own products, we begin to honor our own products, and then it is absolutely achievable. Otherwise, it is the namesake. We have got so many policies, so many strategies, so many economic reform documents that have been produced by the government of India for the past 60, 70 years down the line. If we do not implement, who will implement? It is the people. Every individual is equally responsible, whether they are living in India, whether they are living in abroad. So we should carry the responsibility, and then we can able to achieve the self-reliance in India. Thank you very much.
One
There are
question
some
raised
questions.
by
Yes.
questions raised by Dr. Venu Prasad. So when the salaries are low, compared with the prices, that's what he meant to say. Why these prices are rising when salaries are low? As you are aware, when you calculate this inflation rate, so what is the weightage which you have? In the weightage, 70% weightage is not food products, other than food products. So mostly other manufacturing goods and other products weightage is more in the calculation of the prices, this inflation rate. So therefore, when you calculate based on that, industrial products are, the prices are rising. So nothing relates to the salaries. So only if inflation rate is high, the purchasing power declines. So it also indicates a decline in the salary. But salaries, there is no corresponding relation between salary and inflation rate directly, because salary is not the one of the index or weightage in the calculation of inflation. So therefore, one cannot establish a relationship between prices and salaries. So salaries of which sector also very important, whether organized, unorganized, and whom salaries also very, very, very important. Another question raised whether India can achieve, as just now Professor Rena pointed out, can achieve fastest economy by 2030. It's not possible. as Rena rightly pointed out, because many factors contributing to it to achieve fastest economy, great economy by 2030. How it is possible? The rate at which we are growing, only we are calculating the growth rates all overestimates. As just now pointed out in my presentation, they calculated 7%, but actually when Arvind Subramanian calculated with the cross-country data, he could come out with a 4.5%. So when estimates are not reliable, not valid, and just saying that it's the fastest growing economy in the world, it's only propaganda, fastest growing economy in the world. If it is fastest growing economy in the world, why the basic characteristics of Indian economy still persist? They should have been vanished by this time. If it is fastest growing of economy, still poverty remained. We could not, the extent may be declined, but still poverty remained, unemployment is there, inequalities are there. Any basic characteristics of economy is still exhibiting. So when it is exhibiting, then what is the attributes of this fastest growing of economy? Only it's a gimmick of statistics and nothing that sort. So when you do gimmicks, the realistic growth rate, the realistic one, unless you solve these realistic problems, real growth rate accounted for more than say 8%, 9%, then only you can solve these problems. So therefore, achieving by 2030, I am not sure, and many factors which contributes for the growth of economy. We will not achieve in 2050, 2060 also in the fastest economy in the world, because there are already super fast economies are there. So only the calculating the rate of change year by year, you cannot say our economy is the very fastest economy. As Rena pointed out in his lecture, not only just GDP, what is the percolation? It's not reaching to the common man. So only few sections of the society is grabbing entire economy. Unless until it's redistributed, it percolates to the lower levels of the persons. You can't say India is based on this per capita income or based on this GDP overestimated calculations. Oh, India is super fast. No, that's not. Who is benefiting? That has to redistribute to go to the every corner of the society and persons also. So therefore, unless until these structural reforms takes place, so you cannot eliminate these deficiencies. So not only at such a macro level, micro level also very important to eliminate this anomalies of the economy simply by making policies at national level will not help India. Any other question? Okay. Okay.
Anybody?
Somebody has written Swadeshi products should be consumed by the people. Every citizen become adopt Swadeshi. No, think already Modi said think globally, act locally. Be vocal, but you can't be sentimental, only Swadeshi. So when the economy is when the economy is integrated, now the globalization is the order of the day. It's already integrated. Indian economy is the world economy. This Swadeshi slogan won't work, because now it is totally integrated, because advancement of all these technologies. Whatever is happening in America, it's you can see in India in seconds. So you cannot simply say Swadeshi products. You also compete with the world economies. You can also penetrate your products in the world. India is so much population, so big country. Why can't we achieve? We can also compete with international markets. So instead of saying Swadeshi, this Swadeshi we have been talking for the past 60, 70 years, 60 years. It didn't work. So therefore, not Swadeshi. Why should we have a slogan to how to capture international market? When you capture international market, so be vocal, like global also. So when you are vocal, when you are able to capture international market, then you learn a lot of foreign currency, then your import will decline, then all this financial discipline will come. So just talking about only using Swadeshi products, it's very difficult to distinguish which one is Swadeshi product. Okay. So now in India, the Unilever is called in India. So same that is called also Pakistan liver. So every now multinational corporations, every country has got their own brands. How can you say it is a foreign or Indian? Now with the advent of these technologies and integration of economies, so very difficult to distinguish whether the product is Swadeshi or foreign. So now that demarcation has gone, now let us realize the reality. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. There are no questions in the chat box, no hand raised. So now, thank you, Sudhakar Reddy, sir. Thank you very much for your enlightenment. Madam.
Sunita
Okay,
is
ask.
asking question.
Ask.
Sir, Namaste, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Can I ask one question, sir?
Yeah, you can ask two questions.
It's not question, it is a doubt, sir.
Now 3 persons are there. You can ask 3 questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Actually, ఇంతకు ముందుకు మీరిద్దరు ప్రొఫెసర్స్ కూడా మాట్లాడుతూ 2050 వరకు కూడా ఇండియా ఎకానమీ అనేది ఫాస్టెస్ట్ ఎకానమీ అయ్యే ఛాన్సెస్ లేవు అని అన్నారు సార్. ఓకే మేబీ మరి ఫాస్టెస్ట్ ఎకానమీ కావాలి అంటే ఏం చేయాలి?
To become a fastest economy, there's a lot of reforms are required. Even still, India is 70% is non-monetized economy. How can it becomes fastest in the country? So many are not. So many people are even financially illiterates, and our technology is not. We are not using upgrade technology or latest technology. With the low-level technology, how can we compete international markets? So until we imbibe the latest upgraded technology, unless we capture international market, then it's very difficult. Because now see the dollar rupee rate is rising like anything. So achievement, you can't. India cannot become America in any day.
Sir,
I'm expecting the kind of population they have demographic trends, they have resources, everything. So India, I don't think with this kind of dimensions and its demographic trends, it will become fastest in the world. No.
Sorry to, I'm interrupting you, sir. I'm expecting some suggestions. I'm expecting some suggestions from this platform.
Yeah, our economy is highly democratized economy, not autocratic like China. So the work culture is very less. So unless this improves the work culture and structural reforms required at every stage, so we should have a very good plans. We don't know, we don't have any manpower also. How many engineers required, how many graduates required, how many teachers required. We don't have any manpower plan at all in India. It's just like that opening engineering college, opening IITs and all. How many we required in India? Nobody knows. How many degree colleges required? How many professional colleges required? There is no clear cut. This by 2050, how many is required? We don't know. So we have that projections. Then how to become 2050 fastest growing economy? We should have projections in what sector? Industrial sector. What is the requirement? Agriculture sector, what is the requirement, and how to achieve, we have to make the plans. So we have no plans exactly. What could be the agriculture? Because now we take the agriculture as Rana pointed out, it's a share percentage of population in agriculture is very high, depending on agriculture. If you take its share, it's just only 16%. Now further it is declined. So there is a paradox. The productivity in agriculture is very low. India is vast agriculture-oriented economy. and it's not contributing anything. Even one person is not contributing to another one percentage. If it is contributed 1% dependent on agriculture contributed equal that, it could have been more than 50% in the share in the GDP. So there's a paradoxical situation in India, and 2% population depending on other Western countries and able to produce for 98% consumption, and they're exporting. And more than 60% population depending on agriculture in India, we are not able to produce our own consumption, and we are importing some of the agriculture products from other countries. So what kind of technology which we are using? So every sector, we have to go for a technology-driven economy now. So long we depend on traditional things, we cannot become a fastest growing in India. So there is no one answer for how to become fastest growing economy in 1950. There is a lot of things which need to be done at the ground level, reforming at everything. So human interference has to be reduced, technology interference has to be increased in every aspect. So that you can plan how to become at least not fastest, at least fast compared to other countries, how to compete other countries, not surpassing other countries. Now we have to target how to compete with other countries. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, Dr. Sunita ji, from my side, thank you, Dr. Sudhakar Reddy, for providing, an elaborative answer to that question. From my side, I would like to touch upon few salient points here. The challenge we have, we are still sitting, we are going to be the first largest populated country in the world very soon, maybe in 2 to 3 years' time, surpassing China. And we still have largest number of illiterates in the whole world. Probably close to 400 million people, they are still illiterates in this 21st century. That's point number one. Point number two, in terms of, though we are fifth largest economy, we are contributing almost 25% of the global poverty of this world. We are not contributing 25% of the economy, we are contributing 3% of the economy, but we are contributing 25% of the poverty of this world. So we do have immense challenges. To address your question, Sunita ji, that it doesn't mean that India doesn't have the potential to be the fastest. We are looking into two issues here. Fastest, being the fastest is different, and being the largest is different. So we are talking about, we were already fastest according to 2018 estimates and probably projections of IMF. We were the fastest growing economy in the world. That is fine. But here we are looking at the largest economy in the world, whether India can be the largest economy in the world in 2030 or 2050 or 2060. That is the point we are looking at. We do have the potential, but we are unable to reach that goal because of X number of reasons, as I mentioned to you, few of them. India is the second country in the world in terms of the best natural resource base. America is the first country which has got the top natural resource base. And second is not Canada, not China, not Brazil, not Australia. It is India is the second, having the second best natural resources in the whole world. So, and we also got probably a good number of human resources who are great scientists of the world, who are great mathematicians of the world, who are great innovators of the world. They are also from India. But the challenge is that there is a mismatch completely between the natural resource base that we have and also human resource that we have. So we need to marry them together. And then we can able to move forward to make our economy to be one of the largest economies, probably the first largest economy in the world. We had that position, but as I indicated to you in my, probably you might have missed my speech, I told that 1,800 years, India has been the largest economy in the world. So it is not difficult for India to regain that position because we have the base. But just that we have the largest democratic country, we have got the over freedom, not like China. We could able to regulate and the people's behaviors and probably we can try to put a vision and a mission and objective for every citizen of India that, okay, this is the way that you need to go. Don't think about too much freedom that you have. Too much freedom is always bringing a lot of laziness among us. So if we could able to drive ourselves as an individuals, nearly 1.4 billion people, if we could able to work together hand in hand like Indians, not like Hindus, not like Christians, not like Muslims, not like other religions. We are Indians. So with that, one heart, one mind, one soul, that is Indian. Mera Bharat Mahan. If we work like that, then it is possible. Why not? I think I answered your question. Thank you very much, Sunita ji, for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your broad and elaborated suggestions and explanation. I have one more submission. Why don't create a report and a policy suggestions to the government from intellectual side? ఈ సజెషన్స్ అన్ని కూడా ఒక రిపోర్ట్ రూపంలో ఎందుకు మనం గవర్నమెంట్ కి రిపోర్ట్ సబ్మిట్ చేయకూడదు అంటే దర్ ఇస్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ లాగిన్స్ అని మీరే ఒప్పుకుంటున్నారు అంటే మన దగ్గర ఇంటెలెక్చువల్స్ ఉన్నారు తర్వాత రిసోర్సెస్ ఉన్నాయి వీటన్నిటిని కూడా కోఆర్డినేట్ చేయలేకపోతున్నాము అని అంటున్నారు కదా అవి ఎలా కోఆర్డినేట్ చేయాలి అనే దాని మీద ఇట్లాంటి ప్లాట్ఫామ్స్ బేస్ చేసుకొని ఒక రిపోర్ట్ మనం సబ్మిట్ చేసినట్లయితే maybe it will be used as a tool laga avutundemo ani I think sir. Thank you sir, thank you very much for
there are a lot of reports available but there are no takers.
Oh.
Because the most of the policy making body is from political side.
Okay.
So what is benefit to them, they take up it. What benefit is to you and me, they will not take it up.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Manana.
Madam, one more point I would like to mention here that that is a very good point actually.
Sir.
If the government of Telangana or government of India could able to consult the top-rated economists who can vision about India and Telangana economy even in the coming 30-50 years down the line, we can vision it, we can try to forecast. But unfortunately, there is a mismatch between the economist and also the politician. Economist is always there to suggest and recommend, provide the profound solutions for the problems. But the politician doesn't take those suggestions actually. So that is the biggest problem that we have in our country. Otherwise, we would have remain one of the top countries in the world. Now, let me also give you an example. Jim Park, who happened to be the president of South Korea, Jim Park in 1960, when he tried to bring out all the economists, the known economists or unknown economists, he used to bring, they're all South Korean economists working in America, Europe, and elsewhere. He brought them under one umbrella. He used to have a series of meetings with them. He used to have a lot of suggestions from them. And then he exactly implemented those suggestions and those strategies. And look at South Korea in 1960, 1970, 1980. You won't see South Korea is one of the poorest countries in the world. Now, look at South Korea now. They got more than 40,000 US dollars as their per capita income, and it is one of the richest countries in the world. So we need to have that kind of leadership who have the vision, who have the mission, who can take the suggestions from the true economists. And there are also some false economists. They fabricate something, they provide something. The true economists, whatever they suggest, and if we could implement strictly, then we can take our economy and the country to the higher levels. I think that is my point of view. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It is our bad luck. ఇది విన్న తర్వాత నాకే బాధ అవుతుంది. It is our bad luck, sir.
How to make it, how to convert it to fortune, you have to think.
You only suggest, sir.
There is no one prescription. So
Okay.
it takes time. Automatically, it's not a bad luck. How to make it good luck also, we have to, it is in our hands only.
Let us hope positively, sir.
Yeah, if everyone develops, automatically country also develops. If everyone works in right direction, automatically country also is in the right direction. So how to improve the economy, then we have to think about. A lot of problems are there, issues, there are no ready-made solutions right now available with these issues. Every issue has got its own solutions. It takes time. So one mindset is required to solve these issues.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Ramon
sir.
sir.
Thank you. Yes,
You
Professor.
have any break or will continue?
Let's continue because Professor Kumaraya is
JB
waiting.
is, JB is waiting
has
for a
been
long
waiting.
time.
Yes. Yes.
Let him finish. So that,
After that,
we can also,
okay, we can.
yeah.
As Professor Sudhakar Reddy and Reena pointed out, ours is second largest populated country. So we should have a good manpower planning first. After that only we can reach highest or fastest economy goal. So thank you, sirs, and thank you, Sunita madam. Now I ask Professor Assistant Professor Abhay sir to introduce Professor Kumaraya, JB Kumaraya sir.
You can unmute others so that easy for you. Ramon, you can unmute others.
He's there.
Dear participants, good afternoon. It is Awais Muhyiddin, Assistant Professor of Physics, and in continuation of today's webinar, now we are having one important personality, Jadi Bala Kumaraya Garu. Is a well-known economist. He is a professor in the Department of Economics, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh, India. And Jadi Bala Kumaraya Garu, he has completed his D.Litt in economics with a specialization in agriculture economics from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, with thesis titled The Cultivation and Marketing of Medicinal Plants, a case study of Madhya Pradesh states in India. And prior to that, Kumaraya Garu has obtained his PhD in economics with specialization of tribal development from Osmania University in 1998. Under the title of The Impact of Institutional Finance on Tribal Economy, a case study of Koyas in Khammam districts of Andhra Pradesh. And also he obtained the MPhil in economics from the same Osmania University in 1993. And presently is a professor in Banaras Hindu University. And he has got a vast experience of 22 years of teaching experience in PG level, and total experience. He got 2 books published, and he presented the research papers in many national and international journals, and 62 research papers published, 35 plus 27 plus 62. And he published he conducted international seminars and conferences on various related fields. And he delivered many lectures in international level. Now I invite Jadi Bala Kumaraya Garu to present his talk today. Now switch on to Bala Kumaraya Garu.
Hello.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. It's
Hello.
It is audible.
Thank you, Srinivas Reddy, for the brief introduction. And I'm very much happy that today also, again, we sharing the platform by renowned international professor, Professor Ravindra Rana, and Professor Sudhakar Reddy, and Ram Mohan and his team of this principal professor, P. Premchand, principal of Government Degree College and members of the Internal Quality Assessment of Government Degree College at Jammugunta for organizing international webinar on global economic slowdown and its impact on Indian economy. And it is very happy that I also part of this seminar, and my seniors are also there, some of the economists, and some of the other subject colleagues are, teaching colleagues are also there, and maybe connected other research scholars are. Thank you very much, and good afternoon to each one of you. I'm going to just share my thoughts. Just this presentation is there, PPT. This is only focusing on the agriculture sector, emerging trends in agriculture. Some of the how Indian economy, particularly focusing on the focusing on the agriculture sector, and but briefly, I am just covering all the areas where our Indian economy and particularly agriculture sector economic performance, how it is there. If you look at this small snapshot, so this is the as per Indian Economic Survey 2021, and of course collected from the data Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Quarterly data was also compiled by the Ministry of Finance, and they presented these figures in the Parliament recently, the 1st February of this month. And if you look at the data on the GDP growth rate at constant prices, 2011-12 price level. If you look at this positive growth rate, 2017-18, 7%, we came down to minus 7.7%, 2021. Again, 21-22, we are just setting the growth rate or projections of 11%. Sorry. 11%. If you look at the minus 7, this positive 7% to minus 7.5%, again we are jumping to or setting the goal for reaching the 11%. If you see 11 plus 7 minus 7.7%, it means almost 18% growth rate is set during this financial year only. Whether it is how much we are able to achieve this growth rate or not, many economists and many policy makers and other people or ministries, how they are working with very coordinated efforts, how they are making this objective to be successful is the question mark, or wait and see that. If you look at the fiscal deficit also, this deficit 3.5%, 17-18, and again 2021, this 3.1%. But if you see the pandemic impacted very much on the financial revenues of the central government as well as the various state governments also. So that's why these figures also, if you, you're all skipping. These figures also, you see, maintaining balance of today this year fiscal deficit with a 17-18 year only. And if you look at the inflation growth rate also, inflation rate on an average CPI, it is increasing, and wholesale prices also showing minus 0.1%. But it is these figures are far realities at different places, but average is government is projecting these things. And current account balance also, if you look at this minus 1.8% too, and we are trying to make or maintain this 3.1% in the 2021 year. So this is the high ambitious one. And foreign exchange reserves also, if you see the reserves, these reserves are continuously increasing because of this FDI and other investments from various routes are coming. Therefore, this is just trying to increase this one. And agriculture, forestry, and fishing, even growth rate at a gross value added, also basic prices, if you look at this, 5.9% and 3.9%. These are ups and downs taking place. These are all some of the trends, particularly focusing on the agriculture sector and forestry and fishing. And if you look at the industrial sector, also 6.3% positive, and if you see the industrial sector, minus 9.6%. This industrial growth rate is the major contributor to our GDP. If this is just maintaining this much growth rate of 11% or whatever percentage we are setting, and we did a lot of investments and a lot of coordinated efforts at every level by all the sectors also. And even in service sector also 7.7%, even minus 8.8%. This was also in the year 2020-21, and these things will give, or these aspects will give, to understand what is the important health GDP indicators, how country is moving ahead or moving forward. If you see as per the economic survey and the agricultural highlighting points, so this is one of the important major sectors since beginning. 54%, 54.6%, nearly 55% people are depending on the agriculture sector, but its contribution 17.8%. So this percentage, it means gradually contribution is least, and dependency on agriculture sector is much higher. And this even during the COVID period also, we are able to maintain this agriculture growth rate as per the first advanced estimates, 3.4%. And this sector got renewed first because of various measures, particularly agriculture sectors, Atmanirbhar scheme, and all programs were directly and indirectly helping this sector. If you look at the annual growth rates of real gross value added factor cost by industry origin, just for the sake of scrolling, I'm not going much details for these, but if you look at these tables, we will understand that how we can achieve even doubling the farmer's income, or how we are able to achieve at various levels. These things are also important. If you look at all figures are stagnant in nature, how we are able to achieve these things. It means 1950, 51 to this agriculture sector, its allied sector figures. If you see the all very negligible growth rates, these are all past history, the growth rate also. But this will indicate us that growth rate in agriculture sector, even annual growth rate also, not much impressive growth rates were there. Even 5 years period or even single 1 year period also. If you look at the current pandemic situation, how these are all this advanced estimates 0.9%. This provisional estimates 3.9%. These are all not accurate figures. These are all only estimates or estimates. So that's why contribution towards doubling the farmer's income is the important challenging aspect of these basic statistics which government of India is having, and of course structural transformation is also needed for at every level to understand the things. This you look at the things. This production of major crops. If you see the food grain production from 2010-11 to 1920, if you see the 244.5 million tons, and 296.7 million tons. It means we have sufficient food grains to feed our population. But distribution, how government is taking as per its own policies of public distribution system and other issues may be there. If you see the different crops, the cereals, not much increase is there, which will help us to increase farmers' income within the span of 2022, double the farmers' income. So these are all some of the glaring facts where how this productivity and the production figures are giving, and how much strength is there in this to increase the income of the farmers. This wheat and all these are all some of the figures which, for the sake of scrolling, understanding these things. And if you look at the agriculture and the allied sectors for only by taking into consideration of 2017-18 to 2021, this is the trend in the agriculture and allied sectors, 3.4%. Of course, this is also positive growth rate. Other sectors were not recorded, even at least zero, negative growth rates were recorded. And food grains production also, we have sufficient food grains to 96.7 million tons. It means we have sufficient and having Atmanirbhar of food grains. But this migration of the workers and other people, they are still waiting for the government distribution through the schemes. And if you see the agriculture credit is one of the important aspects which will increase the productivity and the production through investments. Then only agricultural production will take place. So in this 13 lakhs 50,000 crores were set to distribute in 2019-20, but they distributed target achievement was 13 lakhs 92,000 469.81 crores. It means it is more than target achievement. And for 2021 also 15 lakhs crores was earmarked by 30th November 2020, but already reaching this partially reached to 9 lakh 73,900 and 570 crores were distributed so far. And the agriculture infrastructure fund is the important infrastructure fund for boosting the all types of agriculture infrastructure, mandis and markets and godowns and other things under the name part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So this is one of the important infrastructure fund which is expected to increase the agricultural growth rates in future. And production linked incentive scheme. This is one of the important initiative where if production is increasing, automatically 10 key sectors were included by including of this food processing sector for enhancing India's manufacturing capabilities and improving exports. So ultimate aim is to increase the exports of the agricultural exports. That's why these new farm laws are also aimed at to increase the agricultural exports. So for this 10,900 crores were earmarked for successful implementation of this program. So in this food segments, particularly identified ready to eat, ready to cook marine products and processed foods, vegetables, mozzarella cheese, and innovative or organic products of MSME. So these are all productive linked incentives. Government is encouraging these particular under the particular scheme. And if you look at the allied sectors performance also and trends also, India is the largest producer of milk in the world, and this milk production in the country has increased from 146.3 million tons in 2014-15 to 198 million tons. I think 407 grams of milk per day is the average. And if you look at the food processing sector also during last 5 years ending with the 2018-19, this food processing industries have been growing at an average growth rate of almost 10%, 9.9%, and compared to 3.12% in agriculture sector and 8.25% in manufacturing sector as per the 2011-12 base prices. And the sector constitutes as much as around 9% of the gross value added in manufacturing sector 2018-19 at 2011-12 prices. And this food processing sector is also giving impressive growth rate. So India is also the second largest fish production country and accounts for 7.8% of the global production. Its all-time high of this production, 14.16 billion metric tons during 1920. And livestock production and population its production also, as per the Food and Agriculture Organization statistics on production data 2019, and India is the third largest producing country in eggs production in the entire world. And the egg production in the country has increased from 78.48 billion in 2014-15 to 114.38 billion in 1920. The annual growth rate of egg production was also around 5% during 2014 and 15, and it is around 10%, 10.19% reached in 1920, 19 and 20. And the per capita availability of eggs was 86 eggs per annum in 2019 and 20. So this is also one of the allied sector performance. So in this agriculture sector, this current financial budget support is most of the budget was also disrupted, and farmers at all India level or international support is also gained by the agitators by saying that these three laws are supposed to be repealed because these are all harmful to the farmers or agriculture sector. But this time also MSP price was announced in principle at least 1.5 times cost of production across all commodities by finance minister. And the government has enhanced the agriculture credit target also 16.5 lakh crores in the financial 2022. But always these credit institutions or all commercial banks, they're always proved underperformed in the disbursement of the credit to the farmers. And this will focus on ensuring increased credit inflow to animal husbandry, dairy and fisheries. And government also has announced allocation of the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund from 30,000 crores to 40,000 crores, because this is most important investment where agriculture and its allied sectors are meant for the development. So to boost the value addition in agriculture sector, allied products and their exports, the scope of Operation Green Scheme that is presently available, applicable to tomatoes, onions and potatoes, will be enlarged to include 22 perishable goods. Because in the farm laws also, this agriculture exports is one of the important aspects. So export oriented activities supposed to be encouraged in the agriculture sector. That's why there is a greater criticism on this scheme that by the farmers that this is only beneficial for the traders of the exporters. The Agriculture Infrastructure Fund would be made available to APMCs, also Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee yards. So this is also one of the important initiative. Government has proposed substantial investments in modern fishing harbors, particularly 5 centers were also identified: Kochi, Chennai, Visakhapatnam, Paradeep and Pegwat. So these are all particularly for fish production emphasis was given. And the government's focus is moving from increasing farm output to improving farmers' income. Here, doubling the farmer income is emphasizing, and output to improve farmers' income. So there are two aspects, because when we have to extend the area under cultivation and increase the productivity of the production, and it will fix the appropriate and suitable prices for the commodities, then increase the income of the farmers. But here they have output based as well as even without output. If market prices, if it is crashing, then this will also affect the income of the farmers also. But ultimately, output for the existing area under the cultivation or extending area under the cultivation is not done, clarified. This will enhance the productivity and have multiple effects of a larger ecosystem. The farmers' incomes will foster the use of high productivity measures to efficiency use of stressed resources such as land, water. All these resources will also be under stress if farmers' income is increasing by using the available limited resources. While pursuing the objective of doubling farmer income, it is important to keep an eye on the emerging trends in Indian agriculture. So we have to observe closely what are the changes are taking place in the Indian agriculture. So this one of the important initiative, Operation Green Scheme, will increase knowledge of the high productivity practices, and the high value productive choices are made available to the farmers. It boosts the value addition in agriculture and allied products, so that exports will increase, so that we will earn the foreign exchange. So that's why this is the one of the important inherent support of the farm laws in this scheme. And enhancement of the agriculture infrastructure fund, it will help the farmers better navigate market inefficiencies rather than settling for lower prices at the middleman. So government focused on fisheries sector, as it has been recognized as powerful income and employment generator. This subsidy industries and is the source of cheap and nutritious food. Therefore, this is most important sector. So that this fisheries sector is also one of the important source of nutrition in the, of the farmers and the population. So farm laws and agitations. If you look at the ongoing farm laws, and there are lot of at different levels of organizations involved in the opposition of this already passed acts in the parliament. So there were three ordinances promulgated in the month of June 2020, and later on passed by the parliament. Now these are all popularly known as the new farm laws. So, but economists and other policymakers and party supporters, they praised all these laws. For these laws will be benefited certainly to the agriculture farmers. And these three farm laws, one is the Farmer Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020, and the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Act, Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020, and the Essential Commodities Act Amendment 2020. So these three laws are most important nowadays. Of course, Apex Court was intervened and kept abeyance for implementation of these laws. And this first law is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act. What it says that it deals with the trade areas of the farmers' produce selling activities. It permits sale and purchase of farm produce outside the premises of APMC mandis without any market fee, market cess, or market levy. So it means farmers are free to sell anywhere inside the market and outside the market. So this is the argument. Freedom is given. But along with this, electronic trading and e-commerce activities are also initiated. But these laws are only one-sided, and farmers are unable to accept these laws because of their practical problems, which from day-to-day activities they are facing in the markets. So the act may hurt even the interest of the middlemen and affects the services, state resources, and not all the farmers. So as per the governor act says, it's only middlemen will be affected, and farmers will be getting benefits. And the protesters believe that once the law comes into effect, the agriculture produce market committees will be abolished, ending their MSP benefits as well. So this is the basic argument under this law. And these, if you see the as per the government argument, as per the farmers argument, drawbacks. So these are all identified that this the anywhere we can sell, but if mandis are outside of mandi, if it is there, then private people will dominate the all marketing activities. Sale their produce within the state or anywhere, interstate trade will also take place. But if these mandis are not taking place due to abolition of the mandi system, there will be no purchase of crops under MSP, minimum support price. So that's why they identified even for participating in the trade in the APMC market, only PAN card is minimum one identification of the person who is involved in the trade. So very simple. It means license was also not needed, but farmers are also not interested and not encouraging this activity. That they will always be the trail of the agricultural practices of the middlemen or officials. So second law is Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act. So this is the just only for providing the legal framework for contract farming. So when farmer is entered with the corporations and the farm an agreement for producing of the agricultural commodities, and these business firms, retailers, and the exporters all will come to the farmers and they make an agreement. But outlines and disputes redressal system is also mentioned, but this subdivisional magistrate will look into the all disputes for the whatever issues are involved in this. This is the second law, exclusively focusing on the contract farming and its services. This is only in brief nutshell information. Okay, I'm just sharing. And the Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020 is also there. And in this, Government of India is having power, vested in power, and to impose stockholding limits on food items like cereals, pulses, potato, onion, edible oil seeds, oil, removing them from the list of essential commodities, except under extraordinary conditions or in case of steep price hike. So under some extraordinary conditions only government intervention is there. Otherwise, there are many conditions. 50% increase is there in the prices or less than that, like that. And that's why government is making very freedom for inclusion and exclusion of the essential commodities. So all these initiatives are directly or indirectly helping the traders. The law won't affect the farmers adversely. This is just only claiming by the government. Along with the first two laws, farmers are not willing to accept these laws. And farmers fears losing their land and becoming slaves to the corporates. As far as Farmers Empowerment and Production Agreement of Price Assurance Farm Services Act 2020 is concerned. The Essential Commodities Amendment Act is also in favor of the big farmers. These are all some of the arguments which are put in there. Most of the arguments, along with the discussions with the agriculture minister at various levels, they try to convince the farmers, as well as these farmers are also trying to convince the government by repealing these three laws. So these are all some of the initiatives ultimately aimed at to increase the agriculture sector production and productivity, and it will boost the agricultural sector. Through these various efforts, even PM Kisan and other schemes like Fasal Bima Yojana, Sinchai Yojana, and various government schemes which are meant for the development of the agriculture sector are also there for making possible to increase the farmers' income in double. But how government is thinking, whether only giving the subsidy or transferring the money or only increasing the prices or only, I think there is a lot of confusion at every level that middleman income based on the agricultural commodities will increase, but real producers as a farmers may not increase. So there are many apprehensions that are also there like this. Ultimately, we will see how this affects court acts and how negotiations will take place further. All these will, we have to wait and see the performance of these things. So ultimately, farmers always living their conditions. All of us know since beginning as an economics background or even normal also, we think that agriculture farmer already borns in debt, lives in debt, and dies in debt. And not only that, and the farmer distributes debts to the family members also. So always this sector is help-seeking sector. So government, even farmers, majority of the farmers are small and marginal farmers. Big farmers may gain many at various levels, and they have also involved in the trade, small trading or other trading partners at various levels. But problems are perennial and still there in this agriculture sector. It needs a lot of coordinated efforts so that problems will be coming out. So these trends, after understanding, and the policy measures at various levels, agriculture research institutes, and Ministry of Agriculture, and farmers producing organizations, all supposed to participate and listen properly and make suitable plans for the healthy and faster growth rate in the agriculture sector for getting the remunerative prices of the all commodities, so that agriculture sector will increase. So with these words, with these words, I will conclude my ideas or thoughts today. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Balakumaraya, sir. Now, I ask participants to discuss, interactive participants to interact. Please chat in chat box. Put your questions in chat box. If you raise your hand, I will let you. Any questions?
Sudhakar.
Correct.
Ask your question. Sudhakar Reddy, may I ask my question, please?
Yes.
No, I am not asking any question. Just like split like that. Okay.
No.
We'll give
Am I
chance to
audible? And secondly, I would like to ask some clarifications on.
Yes, audible, sir.
Yes.
See, my point is, laws are wonderful. Laws have been designed, with all the ingenuity of many stakeholders in the field. And coming to the implementation point of view. Hello.
Yes.
Am I think some disturbance.
Please go ahead.
Somebody is, I think all should unmute. Mute respective phones. And then coming to the point, the implementation part now, for instance, the Essential Commodities Act, they have stipulated some conditions that 50% of the price of previous 3 years. Do you have any data relating to the various locations? Is it based on all India averages, or is it based on state averages? Is it based on mandal averages? There is a lot of confusion. It's like putting the cart before the horse. The farmer is at a loss to know, and poor farmer, he doesn't believe in all these aspects. See, the governments only will complicate the issues, by bringing all that. For instance, the doubling the farmer's income. You have stipulated 7 years and evolved so many strategies, including the adoption of the allied sectors, the so-called horticultural crops and all that, added to the farming. Coming to the point, doubling the income, there is no scope, even after 5 years for the farmers to expect doubling the income at the rate of 10.4% growth rate. Because in the previous years, we have not achieved even 5% growth rate. Resulting in, you are having to get 20.4% in the next 2 years, which is very impossible. When you couldn't achieve 5% in the past 5 years, is there any likelihood of getting 20.5% in the next 2 years? That means it is not achievable. Then will the government compensate the farmers with the evolved strategies you are not able to get? Will you be able to advise government to pay the deficiencies due to whosever fault it is? Either they could have asked the farmers to switch over from these present crops to the allied crops. Hello?
Sir,
hello?
Sir, carry on. You are audible, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So now these are all the issues before the wonderfully the things, see whether they have discussed in parliament or whether they have not discussed in the committees, or whether they would discuss say, before the farmers. Even if I am a farmer, I am in the committee. In fact, I happened to discuss with the mediator between Prime Minister and the association. There is one Dr. M.J. Khan. We have discussed threadbare on all the things, but I'm not visualizing any solution except ourselves talking in these sort of seminars. I've gone through, but I have gone on YouTube on many occasions, but I'm not finding solutions in all these things. Like 50% rate for the last 3 years averages and 100% on the perishables. Who is going to decide the rates? The MSP is again not full. A2 plus F you have considered. You have not taken C2 into the picture. That means you have removed the imputed cost of the capital, and you have not considered the depreciation of all the equipment that you use, including the tractors. So, and then anyway, they would have added farm labor, all right, but they have not included the important things. See, in the industrial costing, they consider all these factors. Then why discrimination is when it came to the question of the farm calculations for the farmers? So is it not amounting to your giving leniency to the farmer? The farmer being consumer, I understand the rate prices should not go up other commodities due to increase in the farm produce. But why the treatment is given to the farmer like that? So these are all the questions put forth to the government. I am not against the laws, against the possibility of implementing these laws. Therefore, I would suggest the Agricultural Reforms Commission or the Regulatory Commission like the electricity, and so that all the disputes can be resolved. They can be a body to monitor and then, if necessary, to mentor the whole aspects. If mentoring will be a problem, at least there should be an auditing body or monitoring body to look into things to see how they are happening in the field, and then see that they are regulated properly wherever the Supreme Court or High Court, becoming a body to see how far Constitution is guarded. So here also this regulatory body should be there to see how far these factors are implemented, on the ground. These are all the questions. I don't know who can answer this. Thank you very much. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Could you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Could you hear all my points, please?
Yes, yes, sir. I already noted all your points. Sir, actually, Government of India and even the state governments also having adequate structure for monitoring all these, because agriculture officer at every mandal or every tahsil level is the important responsibility given to them, all officers, and they have extension officers also. Some of the state governments are abolished these extension officers posts, but agriculture research institutes are also there to suggest, and these are all in principle are there, but performance actually delivered at ground level is not up to the mark. So while interacting, one of my classmates who is a farmer in one of the remote tribal area, he was saying that agriculture officers collide with the traders of seed traders, and they did not check properly the seeds quality. So they distributed the fake seeds, and it was affected maximum extent on the production of the crops. So commercial crops like mirchi. So it requires per acre almost 1 acre, 1 lakh rupees of investment is required. So he was just mentioning that. So all these details he mentioned that from seed to water and marketing and input to subsidy and water supply, and each and every stage, even at different levels. If you see 1 acre of land, if they hire, around, it is varying from up to 20,000 to 70,000 rupees per season. They have to hire the land like this. And they were saying that these are all, it means some of the, whatever government administrative mechanism is there, for the sake of creation of the infrastructure or whatever personal or given responsibility, they are not discharging their duties wholeheartedly, and they have a lot of vested interest involved in it. And most of the traders offer money that by giving some whatever, just regulate my activities, so that take some money like that. So these kind of practices are taking place at mandal level by the involvement of the agricultural officers, and they have a system of chain of top to bottom. These things normally prevalent rampantly in the at grassroots level. So it is very difficult that how to control and how to it means achieve the desired goals is very challenging and a complex situation.
In that case, excuse me for the interruption. In that case, why don't you please recommend to have agricultural reforms or regulatory body to look into all these aspects, sir?
Sir, all aspects governments know. At central government and state governments don't know everything, but parties they go for their own agenda or own manifesto by giving
the governments don't see eye to eye, sir. The governments don't see eye to eye, and then most of the schemes, Yojana schemes, funds are lapsed at governmental level, state governmental level.
Yes.
And there is no monitoring or auditing body to look into how far these funds are being utilized for the required purposes. It's not talking about farm loss. Even the existing the operations, see, the efficiency or the way of doing things, see, they are definitely not in order. See, what I am trying to say is the implementation of the existing schemes, see, are not in order. For instance, doubling the farmers, it's a 5-year-old scheme. And then we are not able to achieve half of the required growth rate. Who is looking into all these things, sir? Is there anybody to look into all that? My fundamental question is not the achievement or the performance. How are we maintaining these things? This is a fundamental question that is haunting the farm.
Normally at ground level, village level also, even the revenue officer, VRO, village revenue officer, he's supposed to generate the data.
No, that's all right, sir. We know the system, how the system is operating. My point is, how are we to regulate? How are we to regulate? Even assuming the farm laws agreed or not agreed or partly or modified, but finally when it emerges, some laws are emerging to favor of farmer, either today or after some time. See, ultimately, the farmer is at loss, is at sufferance now, irrespective of the loss. See, unless the implementation is taken care by both the governments or between the governments, so I'm sure farmer is at great loss, especially when the implementation of the schemes for a Prime Minister's scheme for the insurance is not implemented in Telangana. With the result, is the entire farming class of so many lakhs of farmers, innocent farmers, they expected some prices to come to them. They couldn't achieve that in a major way. At the same time, they have lost wherever the crops have failed. Compensations are not coming. So these are all the practical issues that one should go. But I conducted so many webinars as a farmer, but I'm not seeing any hope for the farmer, irrespective of the best possible design programs. Thank you.
Your observations, I agree with you, sir. And it needs a lot of constructive efforts or coordinated efforts. Then only with the state government, central government, top to bottom, everybody is supposed to participate in this, and particular whatever scheme is there, whatever goal is there. So these are all collective efforts are required. But always in the process of these activities or these process in the implementation of the schemes, vested interest and the attraction of the money as a part of diversion of the schemes and the corruptive activities. These are all just making the all benefits which are supposed to reach to the needy people. These things always there since childhood or even before my fathers and forefathers. These are all there.
Yes, sir. Any questions?
Hello.
Hello,
Yes.
sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, ask.
Yes, yes.
Just ask.
Sir, this is Madhu, sir.
Madhu Karim.
Yeah, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, my personal, sir, can I speak in Telugu?
Yes, you can.
Sir.
Yes, you can.
Sir. Okay, 2 years back, sir, my personal experience for about Agriculture Act, agriculture policies.
Okay.
So 2 years back, ఏమైందంటే మేము పసుపు పండించినాం. లోకల్ అమ్ముకుంటే ఏమైతుందంటే కొంత అమౌంట్ ఇస్తారని లోకల్ బ్రోకర్ చెప్పారు. సో మేము అక్కడే ఎంత వస్తుందంటే మరి మెట్పల్లి మార్కెట్ తీసుకెళ్తే ఎంత వస్తుంది, నిజామాబాద్ తీసుకెళ్తే ఎంత వస్తుంది అని అనుకుని ఏం చేస్తామంటే మేము సాంగ్లీకి వెళ్ళాం డైరెక్ట్. సాంగ్లీకి వెళ్ళి అమ్ముకుని వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఏమైందంటే ఇక్కడ వచ్చిన అంటే ఇక్కడే లోకల్లో ఫార్మర్స్ ప్రైస్ అంటాం, ఇక్కడే అమ్మేస్తే ఫార్మ్ దగ్గర. అక్కడ అమ్మేదానికి మాకు వచ్చిన సాంగ్లీ మార్కెట్ లో దానికి అమౌంట్ తేడా ఇస్తే మాకు 30,000 తక్కువ వచ్చింది సార్ అమౌంట్. అంటే మన ఈ చట్టంలో ఎక్కడైనా అమ్ముకోవచ్చు లాభాలు పొందొచ్చు అంటే మేము ఫామ్ దగ్గర అమ్ముకున్న దానికి సాంగ్లీ దగ్గర అమ్ముకున్న దానికి వేరియేషన్ చూస్తే చాలా తేడా ఉంది సార్. అంటే మేము ఒకవేళ సాంగ్లీ నుంచి మళ్ళీ తీసుకొచ్చి అమ్మగలుగుతామా క్వశ్చన్ మార్క్ సార్ మాకు అది. అంటే అది ఫార్మర్స్ కి ఇక్కడ రేటబుల్ కదని ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ వరంగల్కైనా నిజామాబాద్కైనా తీసుకెళ్ళిన పంటల్ని మేము తీసుకొచ్చి రిటర్న్ కి అదే రేట్కి అమ్మగలుగుతామా, తీసుకొచ్చిన దానికి అదే రేట్ పెడతారు. అంటే వీటికి ఒక ఇన్సూరెన్స్ లేదని మేము చెప్పగలుగుతున్నాం సార్. ఒకటి
రేట్ వెరిఫై చేసుకున్నాకనే తీసుకుపోవాలి ప్రోడక్ట్. ఎక్కడ ప్రైస్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటే అక్కడ వెళ్ళాలి కదా. ముందు వెళ్ళిపోయిన తర్వాత తక్కువ ఉందంటే హౌ విల్ యూ కమ్ బ్యాక్ మధు?
లేదు సార్, అక్కడ అంత రేట్ ఉంది బట్ దానికి ఎంఎస్పి లేదు సార్. ఇప్పుడు టర్మరిక్ ఎంఎస్పి అనేది లేదు కదా సార్.
ఎంఎస్పి లేదు. సో వాట్ ఇస్ ద ఇంటెన్షన్ ఆఫ్ ద గవర్నమెంట్ ఇస్ వేరెవర్ ప్రైస్ ఇస్ హై యు హావ్ టు గో దేర్. మీరు లో ప్రైస్ ఉన్న దగ్గరికి పోయి ఎలా అంటే nobody will help you in that situation. So farmer has to be educated and he has to find out in which market prices are high. Then you have to take them to the market where prices are good, remunerative, and you will find profitability. So without any information, any estimation, you have taken your product. So naturally you will
లేదు సార్ లేదు సార్ రెగ్యులర్లీ సంబడి తీసుకెళ్తున్నారు సార్. ప్రైస్ బాగానే ఉందని చెప్పారు ఆ టైం కూడా. ఆశతోనే మేము వెళ్ళాం సార్. అంటే ప్రజలు కూడా అదే జరుగుతుంది సార్ ఇక్కడ.
So most of the farmers are ignorant and uneducated. That's the problem. So definitely when you are ignorant, everybody try to exploit you. So it needs to education. Now you are there in the revenue, you have to educate people. Okay. So when you are we are also you should have educated people. Now also you are in the there, you can educate people.
Yes sir, I am working with PRO, AO and MAO.
Yes, I know. That's the reason.
But situation is different, sir.
He is my student. That's how I interacted.
Sir, one more thing, sir. Sir, one more thing I'm sharing you.
Okay.
సార్ ఇంతకు ముందు చెప్పారు ఇన్సూరెన్స్ తీసేసారు తెలంగాణలో అమలు చేయట్లేదని. యాక్చువల్గా దాన్ని మెయింటైన్ చేస్తే మేమే సార్.
We have not accepted in toto of
అదే సార్ అంటే
insurance policy of the central government. We have our own insurance policy. So now state government also intend to implement a policy from the I think this academic this season.
Unfortunately అదే టైం ప్యాడీకి లాస్ అయిపోయింది సార్ ఈ ఖరీఫ్ లో.
Big economy, it's not in the hands of any single person.
Okay, sir.
Agriculture is dependent on various factors. Nobody just like a factory, you cannot control it. So
Oh, yes, sir.
it requires lot of efforts and concentrated efforts. Officials at market levels. Market when they collide, where the person is appointed to look after all these things. He colluded with the middlemen. Who can help?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So that collusion is a big problem. So therefore, what is requirement is, so human interference is, we have to minimize it so that every information, you can have the WhatsApp, whatever it is, farmers, you can send them information through WhatsApp regularly, what are the prices in various markets. Simple thing, now technology is available, you can tell, you can inform them through WhatsApp or various ways how to, what are the prices of various products, where to sell and all. So once farmer is reached the market, he has to be received, he has to be labeled that product, and the grading also, farmer doesn't have idea how to grade it, what is the grade, and they will cheat in grading also. First grade so much price, second grade, all product they will say your product is third grade. So when person is not serious and he is not a corrupt free, corruption is rampant in our economy. Wherever you go without corruption, you can do nothing. So when corruption, because that's a corruption is international language, everybody understands. So when this language is known to everyone, so therefore,
yes, sir.
So because of this corruption, it's created. If he is not getting any money, he would have implemented very strictly. He would have helped the farmers. So he is getting benefit other than salary. So that's just enforcement of laws. So now we know the system of Indian system. So we need to inculcate technology quotient is more, so that he has less interference. Like now, Dharani registrations. Earlier, document writers, so many people involved, money is collected. Now, no writer is required. Automatically, print is coming. So now what the MROs have done, they have colluded with the e-Seva centers. They are collecting money. When you go for slot, whatever the MRO takes, he is collecting the fee. So they found another channel. So what can we do?
My MRO said, sir.
No.
My MRO said.
No, not one MRO. That is maybe one person, but
no, sir. Why I am performing as a Tahsildar? You can phone pay like send money, give land.
Okay. Now most of this MRO offices, they colluded with the e-Seva centers.
Yes, sir.
That's with good intention. Dharani is implemented. Now what happening to Dharani? So that's it. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, you can conclude. Ramon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I think all have covered in all points. Also, discussion from my came out good views. I have some observations. All answers came. So there are no questions. Now I ask. Thank you and thank you. Professor Ravindra Raina. Kumaraya Reddy webinar. And also thanks for our principal. Now I request Mahendra Sir to give vote of thanks. Mahendra Sir, are you there? Sir. Mahendra Sir. Mahendra Sir. Please give vote of thanks, sir. Mahendra Sir. Mahendra Sir.
JP sir, you can close what is the PPT?
PPT is not closed.
PPT is on. It's still in the sharing mode.
Okay.
So that you can they can visualize everyone.
Mahendra Sir. Thank you. So I'd like to thank Professor Ravinder Rena, Professor J.B. Kumaresa, and Professor Sudhakar Reddy sir for accepting my invitation and accepted to address the webinar. So I'm grateful to you for your great enlightened speeches. And I'm also thankful to our principal for an opportunity and also gave permission to conduct this webinar. And I'm thankful to IQAC coordinator, Srinivasa Reddy sir, for helping me in conducting this webinar. Technically, it helps me a lot. And also, I would thank our computer department for technically assisting me for the conduction of this webinar. So thank you everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
If
thank you
anybody
all.
wants to, sir, thank you.
Thanks everyone, and see you. Bye for now.
See you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, Rebecca.
Bye,
Bye, Ravinder. Bye, Ram Mohan, and the team of the college.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Right.